Artists are a unique group. They don't recognize the concept of retirement. Maintaining Creativity is an annual conference in Toronto designed to help professional artists continue creating as they age. Presented by CSARN and the Artists' Health Alliance, sponsored by Merck Canada and Bayshore Healthcare, and generously supported by AFBS and Medcan, Maintaining Creativity 2 brought together 150 artists and experts for a day of discussion and discovery on the theme of reinvention. Here's how the day unfolded.
Welcome to Maintaining Creativity 2 Reinvention. My name is Scott Walker. I'm the Executive Director of CSARN, and I will be your host for the day. Let me introduce our keynote speaker.
But we all have experienced incredible change in the way that we do our work, in the way and the different ways that we present our work and our art over our careers. And we just never stop and think about it.
When I first left my job and I was sitting at home on my couch wondering what to do next, the most important thing for me was time to recover, because I was so burnt out. There was no way I could figure out what was next because I was too burnt out. And then at a certain point I said, okay, how do I move forward in my career, reinvent myself, and stay true to what it is that I know that I want and need? And I thought, well, corporations make mission statements for what it is they do. Why can't I have my own personal mission statement? And I went through all the kinds of work I had done in the past and what I loved doing, what I knew that what were my strengths, and what were my weaknesses. And I built a mission statement around that I knew that I could have in my back pocket, that when things got weird, I could always rely on those few sentences to say, stick to this path, Laurie, and you will be okay. Really instructive for me was a book by a man named Gordon Mackenzie, and it's called Orbiting the Giant Hairball. And I thought, that makes sense. How do you work within a big institution with a large, very set culture, kind of, like the CBC, for example, and how do you maintain your creativity in that? And the point is that you've got to orbit it. You don't get sucked into the center of the hairball. You figure out a way to color within the lines and innovate outside of them.
We're artists, which means we are innately committed to some art form, which is really a channel of something that we must do. Not that we want to do, but something we must do. And we demand freedom, and freedom comes at a price.
Well, actually, in the process of painting, I am reinventing myself all the time. Each painting, each sculpture is a reinvention.
I find within the process of painting that surprise for me, that I'm always trying to find a way of surprising myself. So finding a new energy in myself. I felt that, in talking about reinvention, well, reinvention to me was associated with that same thing of surprise, that there's nothing more fun than that, when you suddenly something new, and that's what gives you the energy.
I'll just say a couple of things, because we've all had so many experiences. A lot of reinventing yourself is having the courage to just say, okay, I can do this, learn how to do it, and get out there and do it, and things will happen. I really think, sometimes you do it yourself, but a lot of times it comes to you. And I just feel very lucky that I've had the opportunities that I have, and the 33 things that are on my project board right now will probably get done.
I said, well, the garden, Adam and Eve were kicked out of it, the perfect place where you had the perfect colleagues, you were working on your passions, you were generally being paid enough money, and then you get kicked out of the garden.
It seems to me that if you live and work as an artist for any length of time, a very basic category is how do you get started again? And that can be for a whole number of reasons. It can be for as simple as everything changes. And everything changes, you need to change with it on some level. In my own career, I've had numerous changes, mainly because I was forced to change. However, as time moves on, and I accept that that's part of the process, it's easier every time. If you are leaving something that you really love, this will be very distressing. It will be like grief. But also like grief, if you know you have to go through the process, you will finally get to hope, which is the next thing.
I'm engaging them with music. I'm engaging them with content that actually amplifies the content that I want to present to them, which is my play.
You know, we have large swaths of audience that don't want to be advertised to. They want access to content. They can access it on any platform and it's all free. So, you know, that's the space we're all competing in. So it's like, you know, how do you market effectively? Well, you have to be engaging. So basically it's like you create content. You have content that is fun, educational, shareable, can live on any platform. You have content that people like, so they engage with it. And you know, it's also content that adds value to how people live their lives, but also it amplifies your voice. And it really just celebrates you as well. So basically it's content as experience. And I think that, like, you know, in the end, there's always a little bit of apprehension because of the fact that, you know, especially when you first start using something, you're gonna have to work your way through how to use this properly. But once you start getting the hang of it and you start having a lot of fun, like say with an Instagram, if you're a visual artist, it works really well. And you can actually figure out really cool ways to like turn your Instagram into a mini marketplace for your work. And if you start looking at the platforms and getting a sense of what the opportunity is attached to them, you can have a lot of fun. You can sell some work and you can build your brand and do all of those things at the same time.
Stand right up again. Now I see a lot more carefully. I don't want to fall. It's just too much work to get out.
We focused primarily on the role exercise has in helping people to sustain a healthy life and to age as effortlessly as possible. And we talked about how, you know, exercise is useful not just for, you know, preventing cardiovascular disease or diabetes or lowering your blood pressure or your cholesterol, but it's really important for mental health as well. It's a terrific way to treat depression, anxiety, sleep problems. So it really, there's very little that one can do that has the potential benefits of exercise if you're currently not exercising. There's also lots of mental health type things you can do that aren't necessarily just about exercise. One of the ones that seems to be gaining a lot of attention lately is mindfulness. Whether it's mindful relaxation or mindful living or mindful meditation, mindful breathing, they all have a really good track record in terms of the research base behind them. And figuring out the right one that you can do is important. Practicing it is really important. In fact, everything we talked about today, practice is really critical. Very few people can start an exercise program and immediately see the benefits. You're looking at 6 to 12 weeks of doing something before the pain goes away and you start to actually enjoy it. Mental health issues like learning how to do mindful breathing or mindful relaxation, it's not a 3-day exercise. You typically have to practice it daily, and you know, it probably takes 4 to 8 weeks for most people to start to develop some real expertise. And unfortunately, most of us just aren't patient enough to put in the, put in the effort.
If it's too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Various people were saying, well, as I get older, I can't do the same things I used to. The gigs aren't there. So how do I replace that? And we looked at different investment vehicles. We looked at real estate. Do you downsize? Do you stay? Do you take in tenants? So we're looking at the shifting, the changing of income streams as their lives change and the potential for a second career. I've never met anybody like a performing artist who can survive on $100 for weeks, get by on nothing. And then suddenly they get a payout on a gig, finish a film, they got $20,000, and it's gone in a week. It astounds me. Whereas if you do a little basic budgeting, you know exactly what's coming and exactly what's down the road, they won't do that. It's fascinating. Well, I guess the bottom line is for them to understand that finance is a tool, and don't ignore it. Sit down and do a minimum, find out where you are, where you're going. You don't have to spend a lot of time. Monitor your investment vehicles, take a look at things, be free to do your art, but take care, do the paperwork, take care of the home issues, and then you don't have the stress.
It was interesting, inspiring, challenging, and helped you find a way forward.
Found this to be a wonderful day. I learned a lot. It's certainly inspiring to listen to the panel that we had here. And I went to the finance workshop, and I'm sure we could have gone hours more. It was really, really good, very informative. And it makes us feel good. We're not alone.
So it's very interesting. It's very, fulfilling that I've got all this information here. So I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward for the next one.
CSARN and the Artists' Health Alliance would like to thank our sponsors, Bayshore Healthcare and Merck Canada, along with AFBS and Medcan, and everybody who made Maintaining Creativity 2 Reinvention a resounding success. And thank you for watching. For more information, go to www.csarn.ca.